When you're using Google apps such as Gmail or Calendar, you'll notice sometimes that on the far right-hand side, you're going to see a menu with them shortcuts to some other related applications that could be helpful for when you're using this. So for instance, in Gmail, there's a link here for my calendar, so I can quickly pull up what my calendar looks like for today right while I'm in Gmail. Some of the other apps are productivity apps that we're going to cover in this section of the class. The first one we're going to talk about is Google Keep. Google Keep is a note-taking app, and it's a great app for creating to-do lists, for saving things that you want to keep, obviously, and or even that you want to circle back to. So you'll be able to save websites, take notes on the fly. A lot of just nice possibilities with Google Keep. So how do I open up Google Keep? Well, if you open a new Google tab, you can open it up from the waffle by scrolling down and finding it in the list of apps. Or you can go up to the URL and just type in keep.google.com. I also recommend that if you use Google Keep, that you install the app on both your mobile device and or whatever tablet or that you use, so that you'll have access to add notes from any device and they will all end up in the same location. So as you can see in looking at my Google Keep window, I have a lot of notes that I've taken, and they can be organized. We'll talk about that in a moment, but let's just first talk about how you can take a note. So first of all, the easiest way to take a note is just to come into Google Keep, and you can just click on taking a note and you can just start typing. Notes can have a title, but they don't have to have a title. So I can just start typing here, and we'll just see, put whoever you want in your notes. Now, as I'm creating this note, there are some options that you're going to see on the bottom menu. So for instance, one thing you can do is you can create reminders for your notes. So for instance, you can have a reminder for a certain day or time, or you can pick, do your own custom time, or you can have a reminder for a place. So if I want a reminder that, I have to invite these guests to Thanksgiving, I could pick a day and time that I want to remind myself to do that. The other thing that I could do is I could pick a place. So when I arrive at my house, and I can put my address in here or anyone's address, then I'll get a reminder popping up on my phone that you need to invite your Thanksgiving guests. If I create reminders that are embedded into my notes, you can always see your reminders. Any notes that have reminders will end up showing over here on the left-hand side. Some other things that you can do with your notes is you can add collaborators. So if you're creating a list and maybe a shopping list and you want your kids to add what they want, you can just type in their email addresses here and you can add them right into as collaborators on your note. Once you've added a collaborator, you'll actually see the icon for your collaborator right here. And I can add as many collaborators as I want. And I'll actually see all of them listed. If I set a reminder, which I did not do, so I should actually just do that. Never hit save on that. Just want to show you that when you do create a reminder, that the reminder is actually also going to show up in the note. So here is the reminder, and then I'd be able to delete that at any time as well. I can also color code my notes. So, maybe items that are related to personal, I'm going to make purple, and maybe work-related items would be in green. You can add any images to any of your, let's see if I got a random image here, but let's put this one in. So I can put an image into my note like this, Or if I don't want the image in here, you can just hover over. If you change your mind, you can just hit remove. So what other things that you can add into your note? You can archive notes. This is a way to save old notes that you want to keep, but you don't want to permanently delete. Also, you can edit undo as you're working on your note. So if you typed something and it was a mistake, or you added something you didn't want to, you can just undo it. You also have more options under more. So you can delete your note at any time as you're making it. You can also add drawings to your notes. So, this is particularly helpful if you're using the app and you want to just like jot down something. I'm not really good at jotting things, but I will get the URL here. Okay, well anyway, this is terrible. All right, but we're just going to go back and you'll see that now this is going to be part of my note, kind of like a picture. If you do a drawing, it does create a big, huge square. There's no way for you to change the size of the square. Also, under that 3 dots is I can make a copy of any note that I've had. So if maybe you need to make a note that's similar to one you did in the past and you don't want to have to retype everything, you can make a copy and edit that. You can also turn anything into a checklist by clicking on checkboxes, and when you do that, it just adds checkboxes right next to each of the items in your list. And then finally, one of the nice things that you can do is you can copy to Google Docs. So if you've been taking notes here, and now you want to copy this information because maybe you are actually going to write a paper or type up a few paragraphs about it, you can just copy it to Google Docs, and it'll take everything from your note and add it into a Google Doc to get you started. The other thing that I skipped over here was adding a label. Labels are kind of like labels in Gmail, where they're just allowing you to do organization. So if I said I have 3 labels currently, I can actually enter a new one on the fly by just typing the name of a new label, or I can categorize this under family, FM, or interest. So if you can also categorize it under 2 different categories if you want. So that will show up right on your note as well, so you know what categories they're in. When I'm ready to close, that's going to save my note. And so now my note is right here in Google. You can rearrange notes by dragging and dropping them on the screen. The other thing that's kind of nice about organization is that if you look on your left menu, if you click notes, you'll see all of your notes. If you click reminders, you will only see the notes that you've added a reminder to. So this one has that location reminder, which is why it's showing up here. Any that I've categorized with the label family are going to show up under family. Under any that I've categorized as FM will show under FM. And any of those that I've categorized under interest will show in interest. You can also go and edit your labels here or create new labels to organize notes better. The archive is where you're able to, when you archive a note, and you can archive directly by hovering over a note and just clicking the archive item. It basically keeps your notes, but doesn't keep them in the main section, and it also doesn't trash them. If you actually delete a note, it will go to the trash, and after 7 days, it will be permanently deleted. So if it's something that you think you might want to keep for future, you should archive it instead of adding it to the trash. So there are some other ways for you to add notes in Google Keep. And if I'm in my notes again and I want to, you can obviously click to take the note. You can also just click right here. This will just automatically create a new checklist. So you'll notice that I automatically get check boxes up here. And I can still have all of the same options for my note. You can also start your note with a drawing. It'll take you right to the drawing options. The other thing that you can do is you can just start with a picture. And if you do that, it'll prompt you to add a picture to the note at first. And then it will give you the option to add any more text or any more information to your note. One other thing about organizing notes is you'll notice you can hover over a note and you can choose pin. And when you pin a note, it actually takes pinned notes and just adds a new section at the top for them. I can also add items to Google Keep from my browser or from my phone, which I will show you in a couple of minutes. So if you're like, for instance, if I was at this, I watched this video on how to use Google Keep. It's a great tutorial video, and maybe I want to save it for future reference. What I would do is I would actually go and install Google Keep as an extension from the App Store. Directions for how to do that are in this section. And once it is installed, I would pin it so that it shows up here. And so now I have that Google Keep icon. So now any web page that I'm on, if I want to save it to Google Keep, all I have to do is click the Google Keep extension icon, and here's my note, and I can add notes to it. More on notes. And currently it's got a label of FM, but you can change and add a different label too if you want. Let's say that's for family as well. And all I do is click off of this. And now when I go into Google Keep, that note will show up. Sometimes it takes a minute for it to pop right up, but that note will show up. And I actually think I have my new notes showing up at the bottom right now. And that's one of the things that you can change on your preferences as well. All the way to the bottom. Let me just show you that right now. If you go to settings, a couple of things in settings you might want to know. So right now, any new items would be added to the bottom of the list. I'm going to actually uncheck that so in the future they're all showing up at the top of the list. Move checked items to the bottom. So that means that like in a to-do list, if you check off an item in a to-do list, it would actually move the checked items to the bottom of the to-do list. Display rich link previews. That means that if you've saved like a website link, it'll show you a preview of the link right in Google Keep. Right now I do have dark theme on. If I turn that off, it'll have more of a white background here in Google Keep. You can also set your preferences here for defaults for reminders. And also, do you want to enable sharing? I have it checked. That means that I can share my notes and have collaborators on my notes. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save on that. One other thing in terms of just viewing your Google Keep, you can actually view icons or you can view as a list. If you view as a list, it actually just goes chronologically right down all of your notes. If you go as a grid view, then it kind of looks more like a grid. And again, you can feel free to choose or move these around. If you want to delete a note, you can just hover over it and just choose delete note right from the menu. If you want to maybe make changes to multiple notes at once, these little check marks are a way that you can select multiple notes. And when you select multiple, now you're going to have some math options here. So if I want to color code all of them, maybe I'll make them all blue. Or I could set reminders for each one of those notes, or I could pin them all, or I could archive them all. You could also delete them all at once, or copy all of them into the same Google Doc. So that's a way that you can edit this as well. The next section, we're just going to show you what it looks like with the app installed on your phone and how you can save items on your phone to Google Keep. This is now showing Google Keep on my phone. You can click on the little share icon, and if you have the Google Keep app installed, you just click to share it to Google Keep and you'll hit post. And then you'll find afterwards when you go into Google Keep that the note automatically shows up. Highly recommend installing the Google Keep app to your mobile device.